Discover the breakthrough that turned the tables on my stage 5 kidney disease, defying doctors' predictions. What if everything you knew about managing kidney disease was about to change? Being diagnosed with stage 5 kidney disease, often termed end-stage renal disease, ESRD, marks a critical juncture in one's life where the kidneys have lost nearly all ability to function effectively on their own. This stage is typically characterized by a severe decline in kidney function, requiring dialysis or transplantation to sustain life. The prognosis at this stage is usually grim, with medical professionals outlining a path focused predominantly on management rather than improvement. Patients often face not only the physical repercussions of diminished kidney function, such as fatigue, nausea, fluid overload, and the need for rigorous treatment regimens, but also the emotional and psychological toll of confronting a potentially life-limiting condition. The initial diagnosis can be overwhelming, engendering a mix of fear, despair, and resignation, as the prospects of a normal life seem to diminish sharply. The routine becomes centered around dialysis schedules, strict diets, and constant medical oversight, with patients often feeling like they're losing a sense of autonomy over their own lives. The social and economic burdens also weigh heavily, as maintaining employment becomes challenging and medical expenses mount. Amidst this turmoil, the role of the healthcare team becomes pivotal, providing not just medical treatment, but also necessary emotional and psychological support. However, despite the best efforts of traditional medical approaches, the trajectory of stage 5 kidney disease often remains largely unchanged. It was within this challenging scenario that the seeds of hope emerged through an unconventional approach. Initially viewed with skepticism, this method was not widely recognized in mainstream nephrology. It promised a potential not just to halt the progression, but to reverse some of the damage that had been deemed irreversible. The journey to this radical alternative began almost accidentally, through conversations with a fellow patient who had explored natural and less conventional therapies with surprising results. This encounter led to a deep dive into a realm of medicine that emphasized holistic recovery, integrating both physical and lifestyle interventions that were starkly different from the prevailing medical advice. As I ventured further down this path, the improvements began slowly. Each small sign of progress fueled a growing sense of hope and determination to continue, despite the skepticism from my primary doctors. It was a daunting path, filled with uncertainty and the fear of deviating from medically endorsed treatments. This approach required a substantial shift in diet, an overhaul of lifestyle habits, and the incorporation of specific supplements known to support kidney health in anecdotal reports, but less so in conventional medical literature. Each step forward was a foray into largely uncharted territory, guided by the success stories of a few who had dared to tread this path before. But then, I stumbled upon a secret that would challenge everything my doctors had told me, opening my eyes to possibilities that I had never dared to imagine. This secret, buried in the annals of both modern and traditional healing practices, promised to redefine the boundaries of what could be achieved in reversing kidney disease. The journey into alternative treatments for stage 5 kidney disease began with a deep sense of desperation, coupled with an unwavering resolve to seek out any possibility of reversing my declining health. This path was not just about trying something new, it was about forging a completely different approach to life and health, driven by stories of unlikely recoveries and fueled by the promise of regaining some semblance of normalcy. The first step involved a radical overhaul of my diet, which traditionally consisted of restrictions designed to limit protein, potassium, sodium, and phosphorus to ease the burden on failing kidneys. However, the new regimen I explored emphasized not just restriction, but the inclusion of specific nutrients believed to aid kidney repair. This included increasing the intake of anti-inflammatory foods, omega-3 fatty acids, and herbal supplements like turmeric and ginger, which were touted in various holistic health circles for their supposed renal benefits. Every meal became a carefully balanced act of nutritional intake, with each ingredient scrutinized for its potential impact on kidney health. The initial skepticism from my dietitian was palpable. "You need to be cautious," she warned, unsure of the unconventional path I was charting. What I didn't realize then was how drastically this would alter my body's internal workings. Physical activity was another cornerstone of this new approach. Despite the fatigue and limitations imposed by my dialysis schedule, incorporating gentle but regular exercise became a priority. I started with short walks, gradually increasing the duration as my stamina allowed. Yoga and meditation were introduced to help manage stress and improve physiological functions through better circulation and stress reduction. Each session left me more energized and optimistic, reinforcing my commitment to this holistic path. My family watched cautiously, supportive but clearly anxious about the potential for disappointment. Could this really make a difference? They wondered silently. As my energy levels began to improve subtly, the changes seemed promising, yet the real impact on my kidney function remained to be seen. The exploration didn't stop at diet and exercise. It extended into the realms of alternative therapies that had rarely been discussed in my doctor's office. I experimented with acupuncture under the guidance of a practitioner renowned for his work with chronic ailments. Each needle insertion was aimed at enhancing kidney function and detoxifying my body. The sessions were calming, an almost meditative escape from the stress of chronic illness. However, my nephrologist was less than enthusiastic, cautioning about the lack of solid evidence in these areas. "Let's not replace proven treatments with untested ones," he cautioned. But what he didn't realize was the level of systemic transformation that was beginning to take place within me. I also ventured into more controversial territories, such as chelation therapy, aimed at removing heavy metals from my body, which some alternative practitioners linked to improved kidney function. The treatment was contentious, surrounded by debates over its efficacy and safety. Each session was a leap of faith, and with every completed treatment, I felt a mixture of hope and trepidation. Is this the change that will finally turn things around? I pondered, even as I knew the scientific jury was still out. Moreover, I explored the psychological dimensions of healing, engaging in therapy sessions that aimed to address the mental and emotional toll of living with a chronic disease. The belief that mind-body synergy was crucial in overcoming physical ailments led me to cognitive behavioral therapy, which helped me develop better coping mechanisms and a more positive outlook. My therapist encouraged me to visualize my kidneys healing, a practice I initially dismissed as fanciful but grew to find surprisingly empowering. As each new method brought subtle improvements, or at times led to stalemates, the suspense of what could truly aid my recovery lingered. Each alternative route opened new avenues of hope and avenues of doubt, making the journey a constant balancing act between scientific skepticism and the anecdotal success stories that had originally inspired me. Throughout this experimental phase, my conventional medical treatments continued, with my healthcare team keeping a close watch on my progress. The integration of these unconventional methods into my standard care routine was met with mixed reactions. While some doctors remained skeptical, others were curious about the potential of such integrative approaches, especially as my health indicators started showing unexpected improvements. This exploration was not just a series of trials of new methods, but a transformation of my entire approach to health and life. The further I ventured into this integrated method of managing kidney disease, the more I realized how each change, no matter how small or unconventional, was intricately linked to my body's overall functioning. As I adjusted each aspect of my lifestyle and treatment, the suspense of the outcome kept me both anxious and hopeful. What I didn't realize then was the profound impact these cumulative changes would have on my overall health and kidney function. The turning point in my journey came several months after incorporating these alternative therapies and lifestyle changes. It was during a routine blood test, an appointment I approached with the usual blend of hopelessness and resignation, expecting more of the same disappointing results. However, this time, something was different. The lab results indicated a noticeable improvement in my glomerular filtration rate, GFR, a critical marker of kidney function. For the first time in years, the numbers had shifted upwards, suggesting that my kidneys were recovering function. This unexpected development sent waves of excitement and disbelief through me. Could the unconventional path I had chosen actually be working? As I shared the news with my nephrologist, I detected a flicker of surprise in his usually composed demeanor. While he cautioned against drawing too hasty conclusions from a single data point, he agreed to closely monitor my progress before making any changes to my treatment regimen. This small victory was a massive boost to my morale, propelling me further down the path of holistic healing with renewed vigor and determination. But the journey was far from smooth. Just as I began to feel optimistic about my recovery, new challenges emerged. I started experiencing episodes of fatigue so severe they left me bedridden for days. These setbacks were demoralizing and cast a shadow of doubt over the efficacy of my chosen treatments. My doctors were concerned that these symptoms might indicate underlying complications, perhaps even a sign that the improvements were merely temporary. Each episode of fatigue tested my resolve, and I found myself wrestling with doubt. Was I merely delaying the inevitable? Amid these physical setbacks, I also faced emotional and psychological hurdles. The initial excitement over improved lab results gave way to anxiety about the future. The fear of relapse loomed large, and the strain began to affect my relationships and mental health. It was during these periods of deep uncertainty that the support of my family, friends, and the online community I had joined became invaluable. They provided the emotional scaffolding that propped me up, encouraging me to keep pushing forward despite the hurdles. Despite these challenges, further lab tests over the next few months continued to show gradual improvements. My kidney function was consistently better, not just in one test, but across several. This trend was a clear indication that something fundamental was changing within my body. My dietitian, initially skeptical, began to take a keen interest in my dietary changes, suggesting further tweaks to enhance their effectiveness. My physical therapist introduced new exercises tailored to boost my energy levels and overall vitality. In addition to physical improvements, I noticed significant changes in my day-to-day well-being. I was able to engage in activities that had been out of reach for years, like taking extended walks and participating in family outings without the looming fatigue. These were victories, not just in terms of medical metrics, but in reclaiming the life I feared was slipping away. As I prepared for my next medical review, a mix of anticipation and anxiety filled me. The previous months had been a roller coaster of emotional highs and lows, small victories punctuated by daunting setbacks. My holistic approach, integrating conventional and alternative treatments, had brought me to a place I hardly dared hope was possible. Yet, I knew the road ahead might still hold unexpected twists. Just when I thought things were improving, I faced the biggest test of my resolve. During a particularly stressful week, juggling health concerns and personal obligations, I found myself at a crossroads. A new set of symptoms emerged, subtle yet alarming enough to warrant concern. Would this new challenge unravel all the progress I had made, or was it just another hurdle on the road to recovery? As I awaited further tests, the suspense of not knowing hung heavily in the air, a stark reminder that the journey was far from over. Yet, deep down, I held on to the hope that the best surprises were still ahead, hidden just beyond the next bend. As my health began to show signs of improvement, the focus shifted from merely experimenting with alternative treatments to solidifying the gains I had achieved. This phase was about reinforcing the strategies that worked, minimizing setbacks, and ensuring that each step forward was built on stable ground. The refinement of my diet became a cornerstone of this new phase. Based on my previous successes and the advice of my dietitian, I continued to fine-tune my nutritional intake. We introduced more plant-based proteins and reduced animal-based ones, as emerging research suggested these were more kidney-friendly. We also increased the variety of fruits and vegetables in my diet, focusing on those with anti-inflammatory properties and low potassium levels, suitable for my condition. The constant adjustments were demanding and required meticulous planning and discipline, but they were crucial in maintaining the improved kidney function markers. Medication adjustments were another critical aspect. With the guidance of my nephrologist, we began to taper down certain medications that were no longer deemed as necessary, given the improvements in my kidney function. This process was gradual and cautious, often requiring frequent blood tests to ensure that each adjustment did not adversely affect my overall health. The reduction in medication not only eased my daily routine, but also reduced the side effects that I had been struggling with. Incorporating new holistic approaches also played a significant role in this phase. Based on the positive outcomes from the earlier use of acupuncture and meditation, I explored additional complementary therapies like biofeedback and Reiki. And these practices aim to improve my body's natural healing abilities and enhance my well-being. Each new therapy brought a sense of hope and a new tool in my arsenal against kidney disease. Amid these ongoing changes, a significant emotional support came from my family, particularly my spouse, who had been a pillar of strength throughout this journey. However, the constant stress and uncertainty also strained our relationship. One anecdotal story that stands out during this time involves a particular evening when the burden of my illness and the relentless regimen seemed overwhelming. My spouse, attempting to lighten the mood, accidentally made a comment that minimized the seriousness of my dietary restrictions. This sparked a heated argument, highlighting the emotional toll my illness was taking on both of us. It was a stark reminder of how my journey affected more than just my physical health. It impacted every aspect of our lives together. However, it also reinforced our commitment to communicate more openly and support each other through this challenging journey. Physical activity continued to be an integral part of my routine. I increased my exercise from light walks to more structured workouts, including swimming and lightweight training, as my strength and stamina improved. These activities not only bolstered my physical health, but also improved my mental health, providing a much-needed outlet for stress. Despite these positive steps, the path was not without its setbacks. Episodes of fatigue and unexpected fluctuations in my lab results occasionally marred the progress, causing moments of doubt and fear. These instances were disheartening and tested my resolve, reminding me that recovery was not a linear process. Each setback required a re-evaluation of my current strategies and often a temporary increase in medical oversight. The support from the online community I had become part of played a crucial role during these times. Sharing my experiences and learning from others who were on similar paths provided not only practical advice, but also emotional solace. It was comforting to know that I was not alone in this struggle, and the collective wisdom of this community often provided insights that I had not considered. As I continued to navigate through these challenges, the importance of resilience and adaptability became clear. I learned to listen to my body more intuitively, responding to its needs with the appropriate adjustments in treatment and lifestyle. This responsive approach was crucial in maintaining the health gains I had worked so hard to achieve. Every step forward seemed paired with a risk of 2 steps back, but then came the day of my latest results. The suspense as I waited in the doctor's office was palpable, a mix of hope and trepidation filling the room. These results would not only indicate the effectiveness of my recent efforts, but also determine the future trajectory of my treatment. As the doctor entered with the file in hand, I braced myself for what was to come, ready to face the next chapter, whatever it might hold. When the doctor finally revealed the results, the room seemed to stand still for a moment. The numbers on the page were unmistakable. My kidney function, once firmly in the grip of stage 5, had improved significantly, now classified as stage 3. It was a moment of profound disbelief and overwhelming joy. The grim predictions that had once clouded my future were now being rewritten, and the weight of the impending life sentence that had loomed over me was lifting. The emotional impact of this news was immense. Tears welled up in my eyes as the realization set in that I had defied the odds. The sense of relief was palpable, not just for me, but also for my family, who had been my steadfast supporters throughout this arduous journey. My spouse, who had weathered the storm of mood swings, diet changes, and countless doctor's visits, embraced me, a mixture of joy and relief washing over their face. My children, who had grown accustomed to seeing their parent in a state of constant exhaustion and limitation, could hardly believe the news. The atmosphere was charged with a new energy, a sense of hope that had been absent for far too long. My doctors, too, were visibly moved by the results. While they maintained a professional demeanor, there was no hiding the surprise and genuine happiness in their expressions. This outcome was beyond what many of them had expected, and it prompted a reevaluation of the treatment strategies we had been pursuing. Discussions began about further reducing medications and even altering the dialysis regimen, plans that were previously unthinkable with my stage 5 status. However, amidst the celebration, there was also a sense of caution. The improvement, while significant, brought with it new uncertainties. Kidney disease, particularly at such advanced stages, is notoriously unpredictable. The fear that this remarkable progress could reverse or plateau without warning lingered in the back of my mind. My medical team was quick to temper the excitement with reminders of the need for continued vigilance. The regimen that had brought me this far would need to be maintained rigorously, and regular monitoring would be more crucial than ever to ensure that the gains were not lost. Moreover, this unexpected turn of events had opened up new avenues for advocacy and support for others battling kidney disease. I became more active in community forums and support groups, sharing my story and the lessons learned. The response was overwhelming, with many expressing newfound hope and a desire to explore similar paths. This engagement added a new layer of purpose to my life, one that extended beyond my personal health. With my latest results in hand, I knew my life had changed. But was this a permanent victory? The question lingered, a gentle reminder that the journey was not over. The path ahead would require the same level of dedication and perhaps even more courage to face whatever challenges might arise. Yet for the first time in a long time, I felt equipped to face them, bolstered by the knowledge that I had already overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. This newfound strength was not just about maintaining health, but about embracing life's uncertainties with a renewed spirit and hope.